From geek to chic is our topic this week. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 234th episode of the Sales Podcast. I am Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Did you hear about the robots who are taking over sales? That was last week's topic with Mr. Chris Orlob. Go check it out. He has used artificial intelligence to analyze tens of thousands of business-to-business phone calls, and he has broken down what works, what doesn't, what words you should use, which words you should avoid, what words and phrases that a prospect says indicates they're ready to buy, what words and phrases they say does it indicate they're not ready to buy. Great stuff you need to check out and apply to your business. So again, you can head over to thesaleswhisperer.com/session 233 to get the notes on that. Today, we've got Craig Petronella. He's been a client of mine for years. He's been in the IT space for years, and he is dominating that niche. That's what I talk about. He has gone from geek to chic, and we're going to dive into how he has done that. He's very open. He shared a lot of information, so you are in for a treat because he's doing a little bit of everything and doing it well in a competitive niche. Okay, IT services, break fix and managed services. I lived in that world for many years, and it has become a commodity. And he has turned it around and literally raised his prices 10 to even 20x. So you're in for a treat. And as always, if you would like to sell more, faster, at higher margin with less stress and more fun with me, check out Make Every Sale. MakeEverySale.com. I will not physically beat you up the way they've been doing to me in my jiu-jitsu class. And you'll pay less than I'm paying as well for that. But head over to MakeEverySale.com. One-time payment, lifetime access. We have a private group. I've got dozens and dozens of videos, scripting, a few little bonuses as well. I'll ship to you in the mail. What have you got to lose? Because when you're goofing off on Facebook and getting distracted, why not just head over to a private group that's dedicated to helping you grow? And the group is still new, still small, so you're going to get dang near one-on-one help from me for a year for less than you would pay for a couple of hours if you were to hire me privately. So thanks for listening to this podcast. Reward yourself and me and everyone around you by focusing and committing to the profession of sales. Okay? MakeEverySale.com. Now let's bring on Mr. Craig. Craig Petronella, all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina, owner of PetronellaComputer.com. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. So, you're over there on the East Coast. So is everybody like a Clemson fan now?
Probably.
Is that you? Now, were you a fan before a couple of weeks ago or after?
I'm probably in the after category.
Oh, man. Come on. All right. I guess we'll continue anyway. We blocked the time off, so we'll continue. So, hey, man, you and I have known each other for a while. You were clients. You're doing some cool things in the IT space, which is your business, but you're applying some unique tools and strategies and tactics as an entrepreneur to grow your business, and that's why I wanted to have you on. So, sure. But in a quick nutshell, can you give our listeners a little overview of what you do and your history, and then we'll dive down the rabbit hole on some of the things you're doing to grow your business today?
Sure. So I'm a cybersecurity IT expert that specializes in security and compliance standards that affect entrepreneurs as well as medical and legal firms. So basically what that means is I help them with security risk assessments, so figure out where they are in alignment with security and compliance, and then I help them remediate any issues that we find, and then ongoing I provide security and management IT services.
So you're focused primarily on medical and legal, is that right?
My focus is on medical. That's where I wrote my recent book. However, there are a lot of businesses in other verticals such as legal, actually auto dealerships. All of these other industries or verticals have a lot of compliance that they have to adhere to, so I can help those verticals as well. But most of my marketing is very focused on medical and legal.
Right. Now, have you, we always talk about, the riches are in the niches. Have you found that by niching that you still have grown in other niches outside of that, even though?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. What I've done last year, so my book came out in August, and I got it to be a #1 Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. After that book came out, I have actually had people magnetically become attracted to come to me, even though they may be in medical or they may be outside of medical, wanting to do business. So it definitely elevated my authority and credibility status.
Right.
And I've also found in niching that has helped me command higher fees, higher rates, and I've recently about 20x'd my assessment costs. Yeah, so I used to charge about $2,500 for a security risk assessment, and now I've done a 10x of that, which was $25,000 was my most recent one, and I'm working on another one that's more in the $50K range.
Very nice. So that becomes your standard. So do you lead with that? Like, is that how when you take on a new client, do you start with that assessment first?
Most often, yes, but before that, there's usually some type of email or phone call that I do for free. So I basically qualify the prospects on the phone or Skype or email, or I ask a series of questions, see if they're a good fit for us to work together. And then if they are, then I go into the assessment process. I ask them some more questions to learn about their business, to see what compliance standards they might be subject to, and then ask them questions to come up with pricing and options for them for that assessment phase.
And then is the goal to sell the assessment, or is the goal to get them on as a long-term retainer type client?
The goal is to get them on as a long-term client, but the assessment, remediation, and then management process has proven very good.
So what percentage that become a client of the assessment retain you for ongoing services? This in this niche or this strategy here, I don't have enough data. I could tell you that maybe about half right now. When I used to do it more generally, where it wasn't medically or focused on compliance, it would be probably about half to 3/4 would move on and become a client. But that was starting at a $2,500 fee.
Correct. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Right.
So now with the higher fee, it also is a different kind of customer too. So this $50,000 prospective client, they're about 120 employees or so. So they already have an IT department. So their sale is going to be much different than that smaller sale.
Right.
So since they already have IT and they're not looking to basically fire everybody and outsource it all, then we can come up with some unique offerings specifically for them after the assessment's completed to offload some of that stuff off their plate.
Okay. So you're kind of adjusting your offer.
That's right.
Based on the needs of the customer, and you do that just through good questioning, good diagnostics.
That's exactly right.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Because, in that case, if they're not willing to outsource, then, in a way, you need to make your money going in, right? Because they're probably going to be a smaller retainer type client. I'm just guessing based on my understanding of the IT space, where you'd be more of augmenting or consulting versus taking over. So that seems to me it'd be a lower revenue model after the assessment. Is that right?
Yeah, and I actually I have a different website that I have that I call Automated IT Solutions, and that website has a couple of packages on it that are proven from the higher end enterprise Petronella computer support side, and we've whittled them down to eliminate me as a cogwheel as the CIO level consultant for them, and basically give them proven process and tools that we use to help mitigate security risks. So that would be a lower end package that we could offer certain clients. But you're absolutely right. After the assessment phase, that's really the first paid step that they need to go through for us to understand and get the knowledge that we need to properly offer them the right things on the next steps.
Right. Now, I mean, you're in a very competitive space. I mean, people are outsourcing IT support to India, overseas.
Yep.
So how are you differentiating yourself? 'Cause, I mean, because years ago, you were just your run-of-the-mill IT computer shop guy, right?
Yep, that's right.
And then how'd you make that shift into healthcare? Now you wrote a big book specific to the needs and the pains of the healthcare industry as it pertains to IT. How'd you make that shift?
Well, back in 2006, I was doing more management than break fix. And then a few years ago, I made the focus on the verticals, and that's when I decided to write my book. I made that shift because in doing a bunch of research, found that there was a lot of pressure from the government in putting boots on the ground to go after medical practices for not being compliant with security, specifically HIPAA. So that's why I wrote the book on that and put a lot of effort into that to dominate that space, because there wasn't really anyone, at least here, that has that deep level of specialization. And then shortly after I wrote the book, as people started coming to me as the security expert, there isn't still a lot of competition that focuses on security, and making it more of a narrow focus, the security and compliance areas. So in writing the book, as I was saying earlier, I've actually gotten clients that are outside of the medical industry asking me about, well, how do we become ISO 27001 compliant, or I take credit cards, so I'm subject to PCI DSS compliance. Can you help me? So I have all these people attracted, or these companies attracted to me, and that has become basically a reinvention of my business, because I found that it takes about the same amount of effort to get a $2,500 sale as it does to get a $25,000 or $50,000 sale.
So any leads I send you, though, that you close for $25,000, you'll do it for $2,500 and send me the difference?
No, but I do give a very healthy percent. Sometimes I'll do 20-30% of the profit, and the profit's very high. Yeah. So I do actually have a lot of people that become sales agents for me in various industries that are aligned with compliance. Recently, last week, for example, I partnered with a secure shredding company, and she's got companies in automotive vertical, medical, legal, all these different verticals that have PII, or personal identifiable information, that's subject to destruction. They have to destroy this stuff. They have, so they can't just throw it in the trash can. So that's a perfect joint venture for me. So I basically last year, at least in the past 6 to 9 months, I've been focusing my marketing efforts on that one-to-many approach. Go after the people that already have the relationship with the clients that I want to do business with, and that's been very successful for me.
Cool. So what convinced you that A, writing the book was the right thing, and B, how did you go about getting it done? Was this your first one? This How HIPAA Can Crush Your Medical Practice?
This is my fourth book.
Okay.
The first one I wrote was called Peace of Mind Computer Support, but it was more for the generalist. It wasn't a vertically focused area. Another book I wrote was on the crypto locker. It's called Crypto Locker: Thieves Are After Your Business. And that came out when the crypto locker ransomware malware about 2013. End of 2013 was when that really started surfacing with the FBI, the fake FBI messages on people's computers, and then the attackers were demanding fees to get the data back. So that's when I wrote that book. But what convinced me to write the book? Actually, I was talking to. Do you know John Paul Mendoza?
I know the name. I don't know him.
He works with Perry Marshall.
Sure.
And I was on a mastermind call with him, and we were just kind of brainstorming. And he's like, if you want to go into this area, you need to write a book. So I'm like, all right. So that's what kind of tipped me off to the book. I did a bunch of research on it. And I'm like, okay, well, this is good. So I basically put a lot of effort into that and made that become a success. And that my business is very complex. A lot of what I do is a complex sale, so it takes a lot of spoon feeding to prospective clients to understand what I do and why they need what I have to offer them. So that's another reason why I wrote the book, because the book has a lot of content in there. Whether they choose me or not, it arms them with the necessary questions to ask and what to look out for.
Do you find that they read it? I mean, most people don't read books. They buy them, they don't read them.
It depends. I have sold over 200 copies so far, which is not that much, but my business is high ticket, low volume. I'm not really in the book sales business. I'm not looking to sell, a million copies of the book. I essentially use the book to eliminate my competition.
Sure.
I use it as a business card. And what's happened with it is in the marketing that I've been doing, I've actually partnered with different companies that will buy like 200 copies of my book, and then they'll leverage my book and my credibility at a trade show or some type of marketing event for their own business. So that's been working very well too.
Right. Well, if you put my picture on the cover or just said, I know the Sales Whisperer, I mean, sales would have really taken off. I'm just saying.
I bet.
But we'd have to discuss it. I mean, I'm going to get a cut. I'm just saying, though.
Maybe we could do a new edition.
I'm going to give Kim Kardashian a run for her money, man. I'm going to take over the internet. I'm just saying. You've been warned, okay? So did you self-publish this?
I did.
Cool.
I used Amazon and self-published it. Yep.
Are you concerned that the topic might fade away? Although HIPAA's been around, it's probably not going anywhere, right? But like the crypto locker, I mean, that's gone, right? At least for the most part.
Well, they transform, right?
Sure.
So security is an ongoing.
Viruses, yes, but the big one, that one is faded away.
Yeah, but now it's been replaced with bigger, better, and just more evil. Right. So to answer your question, no. Cybersecurity is probably one of the hottest markets right now. It's growing exponentially. HIPAA's not going away. Security and compliance is not going away. There's such a high demand for it. The issue is the educational component. It's a lot of business owners. They hear this stuff in the news, and it's all the time now. It's always in the headlines. Sometimes multiple hacks or breaches happen a day. And people, I think they just become numb to it. They don't think that it's going to happen to them. They're like, oh, okay, well, Gmail or whatever Yahoo got hacked, and they move on with their lives until it affects them.
Right. Now, on your site, because I'm looking, I'm trying to peel everything back. You've got the cartoon video. Is that working well for you? Because I'm always hit up with people, whiteboard videos, comics or illustrated videos. What made you decide to go that route, and is it paying off?
It is, actually. So before the video, I was able to get about 60-something% bounce rate. And after the video, on average, it was less than 1%.
Wow.
Yeah. So what made me choose that video, I created that video, but as far as what made me choose that technology, I chose that technology because it was basically endorsed by Ryan Dykes.
Oh, cool.
And he uses that system to increase conversions on his sites.
Now, you say bounce rate. I mean, I could still just watch that video and bounce. But
it keeps the people on the page longer, so
Sure.
that so that they can poke around and look at other things. But the video is a good overview of what we do. It's not focused. I'm actually going through a redesign and focus on more of the security and compliance area and redoing that, so that it'll be more in alignment with that. But as far as using that type of technology, I would definitely use that again.
Now, how do you decide between hosting it on YouTube like you're doing versus Vimeo or something else?
I used to do Wistia because Wistia has some hooks to Infusionsoft, and
Right.
as you know, I use Infusionsoft, which is great, and you could do triggers and different campaigns and all that good stuff with that technology. But I think that that's more of a step two, at least for me. By putting it on YouTube, it helped with SEO.
Yeah. So you get more traffic from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just a third party. It's just Powtoons, right? Just right off the shelf.
Yeah,
You make that
Powtoon.
on your own.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
very cool. Because, SEO is still important. Video is still important. And it's nice that, YouTube, people forget that Google owns it. I mean, it's the number 2 search engine in the world. So index that properly, get some good tags, good titles, and bring people to you.
And it ranks well on as a separate on the search engine results page. It actually ranks separately, so
Right.
It helps boost your traffic that way too. More real estate on that page.
Yeah, very cool. So are most of your leads, are they inbound, or are you still making outbound to set appointments and generate new business?
So the only outbound efforts I do are manual efforts to partner with other companies that have some type of alignment with what I do. Like I was saying with the secure shredding company, I've partnered with a publisher of an attorney magazine. So I do partnerships like that, and I reach out manually, and I use LinkedIn for that with a high success rate to do that. But as far as inbound leads, the book certainly helps with that. Locally here, I'll bring my book whenever I go on meetings, but I'll get inbound leads from that and from some of the other things that I do. I actually publish a few magazines on the Apple Store and Google, so I get some traffic from that.
Right.
So it's really hard. There's no perfect technology to track all this stuff because the sales process for me is so complex and so long. Cookies expire, so people are all over the place before they might pick up the phone and be warmed up enough to actually have a conversation.
Right. Do you have a lot of lead magnets, or have you narrowed it down to one or two key things and then just drip on them from that, one main offer?
Yeah, I have a handful of lead magnets that, the books definitely works. I use another one with security awareness training. That's a good lead magnet. That training I recommend to any business to help the owner as well as their employees stay on top of the latest ransomware, malware, latest security threats to look out for. So that's another good offer that works for me. The blog, I post at least 4 articles or more per week on my blog.
Oh, wow.
And then those actually get then also repurposed onto the digital magazines that I do. So all of those activities help with the lead generation.
How do you have the time and inspiration to create 4 blog articles a week? Because I know most people won't do that kind of volume.
Well, I basically look for interesting, my vertical or my target in cybersecurity, it's so hot right now. It's not hard to come up with content. So I'll brainstorm, and then I have an assistant that helps me, and we'll do an interview or whatever, and then he'll write a summary, or I'll write a summary, and then we'll just get it out there.
Yeah. So the main thing is just being attuned to it, right? And just so will you pick like a topic, like somebody got hacked or something, and then just use that and create some content around something in the news? Yeah,
exactly. So if you go on my blog, there was a Gmail scam that was a really, really nifty scam that was new phishing scam that was going around that was aimed at stealing people's Gmail passwords. And even a lot of cybersecurity pros were falling for it. So I posted a version of that, my take on that. There was a keylogger, a student that got 10 years for creating a keylogger malware. I don't know if you know this, but keylogger malware is undetectable by antivirus if it's a 0-day keylogger malware. And there's actually only one technology that's patented, and the gentleman lives in New Jersey. He's got one of, I think, 6 different patents. He's got like 45 million customers.
Wow.
Yeah. So we use patented solutions, his is one of them, in our deliverables for our security technology, and that works well.
So is password a bad word to use as my password? Should I change that, or is that pretty good?
Passwords of any kind are actually a bad idea. I always recommend 2-factor authentication.
Ah, very nice. Well, I do use...
Even if you use a 22-character with every character on your keyboard password, it still can be breached. So I always recommend doing that in combination with 2-factor authentication.
Great. Here I was, thought I was good because I got, all these advanced password doohickeys that do. I saw something that said make them at least, it was 16 characters or 18 characters,
22.
I forget. So 22 is the new number now?
Yeah, 22 is my number. 21 is what Kevin Mitnick recommends, and I recommend 22.
So what's an example of 2-factor authentication?
You can enable the feature on Facebook, for example, go into security settings, and what will happen is Facebook, when you log in with whatever password you choose, it'll then send a text message to your mobile device with a one-time use PIN, and then you have to put the PIN in on the next screen, otherwise you're not getting in the account.
So that's every time?
Every time.
So that's a good way to keep you off of Facebook. So you can focus on work.
Yeah, it is. I always recommend that for every website that you frequent. Even like your mortgage website or any of the website, like your banking, if it supports it. Some banks do and some don't.
It's like having a combination on my fridge, huh? I should probably do that. I would eat less.
Then you would eat less. That's right.
No, then I would just throw the lock away. So it wouldn't matter. I would just buy a second fridge and put it in my home office here just so I could eat faster. So it's a big, scary world out there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
But the problem is it's really scary. Have you ever seen the movie? There's a movie that came out recently, a documentary called 0 Days.
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
If you go on Amazon, take a look at it. It's called 0 Days. It's a documentary. And it's about, I won't spoil it, but it's about a malware called Stuxnet. Have you ever heard of that? Stuxnet? No. Okay. You should go watch the movie if you're bored. So I'll tell you the short version of it. The Stuxnet malware was actually created by the U.S. government and Israel. It was a joint effort to combat the nuclear arsenal in Iran. It was the first malware, the most sophisticated malware in 2013, I think it was, that actually caused physical destruction.
Oh.
It actually caused centrifuges to explode in Iran.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really scary stuff. So if you just kind of think, now that's almost 4 years old now. So just think of what's out there now, because that code is out there, and it's all over the world.
Right.
And the Ukraine, actually, I think it was last week or the week before that, they had their power grid hacked.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of things like the power grid. Could you imagine if a hacker broke into the traffic signals and made all the red lights go green?
Right.
Where you are. I mean, there'd be car accidents all over the place. So the point is that a lot of those types of things don't even have security in place.
Right.
So it's a lot of backpedaling, and the internet, when it was created, it was never created to do what it's doing today. So there's a lot of backpedaling, and how do we secure an insecure thing, right?
Right.
So that's
why I work from home and I run red lights, because it could be hacked. That's what I tell the police. Officer, I thought the light was hacked. But I was talking to my buddy Craig. I was talking to my buddy Craig. Have you seen this video? And he just said, "Yeah, I got to go, man, because look, they're about to run another red light." So you've got me out of many tickets, and help me be on time for many meetings when I was running late. So I thank you for that.
Sure.
All right, so I will link to that. I've got it pulled up here on my other screen. That is kind of freaky. Oh, my gosh. All right, so I'm looking at your posts, and yeah, these are, for everybody listening, he's not writing, 2,000-word articles here. I mean, this is a 4-paragraph update on like U.S. Spec Ops health data breached. On the one you mentioned with the student faces 10 years for the keylogger, 3 paragraphs. So are you finding that is, because I've seen different things. One is be current, right? Have a lot of frequent updates, and Google likes that. But then I've seen others that look at like the most shared and the most impactful, and it's the longer posts. It's 1,500-word articles. Have you evaluated long versus short, or are you just kind of doing your thing and it's working?
So I do a mix. So in my digital magazines, I do 500 to 1,000-word articles, and I'll do 4 to 5 an issue. And on the blog, I'll do the short ones. And I do the short ones because I share them through all the social media channels too.
Gotcha.
So I build up, like if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see there's just tons and tons of posts on there.
So what's up with this digital magazine?
So Digital Magazine is a free magazine on the Google app or the Google Play Store and the Apple Store.
Okay.
And there's a few different ones that I have. There's one that's called Healthcare IT Security Magazine. And there's another one called Healthcare Cybersecurity Today. The Cybersecurity Today is actually a link from my blog. So everything that I post on my blog, I can pick and choose, and I usually post all of them, and I push them out to the app on the Google and the Apple stores. So when I push them out, then the algorithm on both Google and Apple picks up that there's new content, so then I get new free traffic from both sources. And then I track how many people actually sign up and download the magazine and, the different ones that I have. I also have a magazine on marketing, too.
Very interesting. I don't think I know some people that do a digital magazine, but it's more of a subscription, and you got to pay for it.
Yeah, I made mine all free. I could do paid offers inside of them, but I chose to make mine all free to maximize the signups.
Right.
And actually get a lot of people that sign up from free traffic. And that stuff just goes in my drip marketing, and you could actually, they make this difficult, but you could actually export those people that sign up. And there's a process that they don't make very easy, but you could actually extract their email addresses, and then you can dump them in your autoresponder.
Is that on Google Play and Apple?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have tips and tricks on how do you create a magazine? I've never even thought about creating a digital magazine.
So I bought a bunch of licenses. If somebody needs help with that, just tell them to contact me. But basically, there's you can choose a platform, and I chose a platform to do that. And then there's a fee for the licensing. And then after you pay the fee, you can do a self-service model where you pretty much use the WYSIWYG and kind of build your own. Or you can get a professional graphic artist that'll help you get all of it customized for you. And then after that's done, you can choose to be the writer, or you can hire writers to help you with content, and then layout and graphics and placement and all that stuff. If you go on the Google and the Apple stores and search for my magazine, you can see how mine has been done.
Yeah, so I just did a search. Yeah, I found your Healthcare IT Security Magazine by Petronella Technology Group, Inc.
Yeah.
More by Petronella Technology Group, Inc. Healthcare Cybersecurity Today. So that's really cool. And then this other one is yours too, Healthcare Digital Marketing.
Yes, sir.
Yours, man. So how do you get all that done? That's
I'm a good outsourcer.
Very nice.
I have a good delegation strategy that people will interview me, or I have I've built a team over the years that help me with, like, for example, with the magazines. I have a good team that helped me with the layout and the graphics and all that good stuff. And then I have basically I write some of the stuff, and then I have some writers that help me with certain topics and things like that, and I mesh them all together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to. I mean, you gotta, because you have a day job as well, right? You gotta,
of course,
you gotta deliver on the services that you're selling.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Very cool.
But all of that, I can tell you that all of those efforts, they do bring in more business. I can't tell you specifically, I get X revenue ROI from my digital magazine. It's just too blurry. It's too complex of a long tail process for that. But I can tell you that all the efforts are powerful, and they do work, and they help build the uniqueness of my brand and what I do.
Yeah. Well, it's the old adage, I can't tell you how to get 30 leads, but I can tell you 30 ways to get one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And a few months ago, even, I was still targeting individual practices, and then I got smart, and I'm like, well, it's the same amount of effort to target one. Why don't I just target the software as a service that makes software for medical or software for legal, or why don't I target the billing and collections companies for medical? You know what I mean? Like, so there's all these different verticals that I can target that already have the clients that I want to do business with.
Yeah.
And then I've essentially carved a position that these aren't my words, these are my clients' words. When I met with a particular client that's in the HR space back in June, they didn't want to do business because they thought my fees were too high compared to who they were using. So they kind of suffered through the pain that they were going through. And then one of their clients that they wanted to do business with was in the medical space and said, oh, hey, you know what? We can't do business with you because you don't have ISO 27001 and SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. So if you're ready to get those, then we could do business. So then that's when they called me. And they're like, do you know what this stuff is? So that, and then, I know for a fact that they asked their existing provider, and nobody my client actually said, I can't believe that we found you, because there was nobody around that does this.
Right.
And that's what actually sparked me to write my next book, which is going to be on security and compliance.
Right.
Not just HIPAA.
Yeah. That's awesome. So basically be everywhere.
Yep. And re-leverage a lot of the stuff that you create it once and spin it as many ways as you can and repurpose it and build a content library.
Yeah. Yep. Amen. I've been doing a lot of that. I've been, it's been over a year now. I switched my website from WordPress to HubSpot. And so in the process, I'd hired different teams to help. Pretty much everybody eventually screwed the pooch. So it's good and bad, right? It's forced me to learn a lot about tools that are out there, a lot more about SEO. It forced me to really dive into how HubSpot works, which makes me better in that space. But I bought my domain name almost 11 years ago, 10 and a half years ago, and started blogging regularly 9 years ago. So I have so much content, right?
Yep.
And so I'm just finding old articles and just updating them, refreshing them.
Sure.
And republishing them. And, it's a whole lot easier. I can update 10 articles in the time it'll take me to write one or two good ones.
Of course.
And an article that's 7 or 8 or 9 years old, nobody's reading that. Sure, it's indexed by Google, but you're not going to find that. And plus, I wasn't as good of a writer. I mean, the pictures aren't as good. The
Sure.
offers, I was linking to programs that I no longer offer, so it's giving me a chance to clean up my offers and streamline and really narrow my own focus, my own niche. So there's that's a good idea. Go back to your old stuff and just buff it up. Put a new coat of paint on it and republish it for today. And the world will never know the difference.
And a lot of those topics are probably just as interesting today. Yeah. So like you said, it might take you 20% of the time than to reinvent the wheel. Oh, yeah.
People are loving, man. I wrote 20,000 words on MySpace, and I just updated that. They love it.
I bet.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I will link to everything. And we were talking before. You've got a book. You've got an IT strategy session. So I'm going to link to all that. But for anybody listening, your main website, we're going to send them to, you want to send them to Petronella Computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so PetronellaComputer.com. So we'll link to that. And even if you're not, in the IT space, go Go check out what he's doing. Go see how he's repurposing, how he formats his blogs. Go look up on Google Play or Apple and see how he's doing these magazines. And, he was generous to offer there, if y'all picked it up, that he's got these licenses. So if you're interested in doing this yourself, hit him up as well. And so, again, we'll link to everything. I'm going to go check out the 0 Days film. I probably won't be able to sleep anymore. So, hey, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to need what? So, do I need 22-factor authentication? Was that it, or 22-character password?
22-character password, 2-factor or multi-factor authentication.
Like retina scans, voice identification, fingerprints, saliva. I mean, all that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just to get on Facebook and tell people that do my political rant. Okay.
And then you also need you also need identity theft protection, and some of these other things like keystroke, like I was telling you with the patented keystroke technology. That stuff exists on your mobile device too. Every keystroke that you type on an iPhone or Droid, they're all captured without your knowledge. Any rogue app on the App Store, which there are thousands of them, same on the Google, they can capture all those keystrokes, all those text messages, all those emails that you type, and then you're typing those passwords in, right? So they're going to capture your passwords too. So if you don't have patented keystroke encryption, that's a number one thing to get too.
Good grief. Just scaring me to death. I may have to delete that ending. You're just going to scare us all to death, man.
It's true.
Some things we
can't handle the truth.
Some things we're just happier not knowing.
Yeah, that's true.
Man.
There's crazy stuff out there.
Yeah.
There are kids that bypass the fingerprint sensor with a balloon.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, you can check on – there's all sorts of biometrics, fingerprint scanners that have been bypassed with a balloon. There's all sorts of stuff. I mean, there's crazy stuff out there, and then it just continues to get worse. The ransomware threats are ridiculous. I think Perry said that he had a friend that was $100,000. I heard about a ransom that was almost $500,000.
A ransom for what?
For their data. They'll put in a 0-day keylogger. They'll capture the data. This is how Target was breached, by the way. They'll drop a keylogger in. Any employee that clicks on the link that thinks that it's coming from a trusted source, they don't even know it. They get infected with it. Then 2 years later, in the instance with Target, 2 years later, they collected 2 years' worth of data, and then they decided to do the breach that Target suffered.
Oh, my gosh.
They had so much data, they were able to impersonate anyone they wanted.
Wow.
And that was because of so that came in from a third-party HVAC vendor. That was Target. I mean, if you look at all the headlines, pretty much every big company, Sony, J.P. Morgan Chase, all these huge companies, they were all breached. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them were breached from keylogger malware.
Because they didn't have you as their IT consultant.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So if y'all are worried about getting hacked, call Craig, okay? He'll take care of you. He'll give you 22 different ways to authenticate yourself. You'll spend the whole day authenticating. You won't be anywhere online, okay? You'll be bartering eggs for ham, and you'll be asking, Wendy's if you can trade in, I don't know what, light bulbs and Coke cans for a burger. But you will not be hacked.
That's right. It's a crazy world.
Crazy world. All right, man. Craig Petronella, new Clemson fan. Thanks for scaring the crap out of us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
All right, dude. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
What do you think, huh? Craig's just an ordinary dude with extraordinary results because he is applying himself consistently. He is leveraging the opportunities that he's finding. He's analyzing his business. He's seeing where the weak points are, where the strong points are, where the opportunities are in his industry. He's not tied to just one thing. He's open-minded. He takes fast action. Okay, and he's doing things with both short-term and long-term goals in mind, right? Creating the digital magazine, that's a longer-term play, but now it's working for him because he got started. Okay, so what are you doing? What old school ideas are maybe you holding on to for far too long? Okay, are you going in for the close too quickly? Just like we talked about with him, his initial goal, the appointments, that the purpose is to get them into an appointment. Start having events, have webinars, have live events, have a low risk something that your prospects can get into, they can bite onto, right? They can get that toe in the door and start getting familiar with you, get comfortable with you. And then you ask good questions with the idea to disqualify those prospects. Sure, they may be at a company that is a target. They may be in an industry that's a target, but you need to assume the worst, but prepare for the best, right? And even vice versa. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. But you need to understand that very few people can buy right here, right now from you today. So go in with the right attitude. Go prepared to make the sale, but realize that a lot of things have to come into play. The stars have to align for them to actually finally spend their money with you. So don't go in hungry. Okay, don't go in desperate. Don't go in pushy. You need to be a disinterested third party. Going in there and analyzing, asking good questions, diagnosing, and then if there's an illness that you can treat, then you make the prescription. Now, that's what Craig has helped set himself up with by having his books, by having his digital programs. He is setting himself up as the expert in the industry. And when you're seen as the expert, people don't question your prices. It really is that simple. Now, it may not be easy, though. It takes work to create the expertise in yourself, right? And then to create the image in the industry that you truly are the best. So you got to stick with it. You got to keep going. You got to eat the rabbits while you're hunting the elephants, right? You got to still continue to close business. Maybe it's some smaller deals, but helps you keep the door open. But it's worth it in the long run, okay? But it can be discouraging. That's why I made the Make Every Sale course. That's why we have the private group in the Make Every Sale program. So you have support from other like-minded, motivated individuals looking to grow, committed to the profession of sales. And with a one-time investment, you have lifetime access. So what's holding you back? All right? Do you think it's like every other course? Do you think you don't trust yourself to do the work? Are you too shy? Are you too proud to ask for help? Are you too proud to admit you're weak in an area and could get stronger? Give me a break. We've all made the mistakes. Today, I was rolling with a black belt I'd never seen before. And I've only been in this gym 2.5 weeks. But this guy, he's a fireman. He's been out. And we were rolling because we're about the same size. And, he was totally calm, right? Laid back, understanding, because we've all been there. But you know what? Him being a black belt, me being a white belt, he actually got to work on some new moves, and he was a little rusty because this isn't his full-time job. He's a fireman. And so being able to teach and work with someone else that's new helps him get back to basics, helps him revitalize, right? Re-energize, put a little spring in his step, getting back and coaching somebody that's new. That's what I experience in my groups. Being in sales for over 20 years, I've seen it damn near all and done it almost all. So, but I still love the teaching side of it. I still love helping. And it's still a small group. So if you want almost one-on-one help for a fraction of the cost of what you'd pay for truly one-on-one, jump in now. As the group grows, you won't get as much access to me. So head on over to makeeverysale.com. Then subscribe to the Sales Podcast. That helps us bubble up in the iTunes library, Google library. And then the more people that can listen, the more I can help and keep this free. All right? As always, though, I thank you for listening. Leave a comment. Ask me a question online if you got it. And remember to sell different.